Against Perks, we talked about how we want to see those carries come out. Let's see what Perks decides to lock in. The Skarner first pick, and now G2 got a response.
You can see the Danish Moon giving the Danish mid laner extra powers to shut down Caps in the middle lane, securing a confident mid lane pick, and it looks like that with the Karma locked in, you can flex it between mid and support.
That's going to be a key thing for them. G2 Esports on his side. I still think Zac could also be an option if they want to continue having gank or something where he can gank a lot. He played well on it in that first game, and it actually forced a lot of great early kills for G2 Esports, and I like the choice, and of course, as you highlighted there, the flex Karma is important.
You've got to remember though that Tristana's open again. Sivir, unlikely going to be an early priority, but given how confident Fnatic are, we could see it, but with the Braum banned away, they might not feel as confident locking in a blind Trist.
And if they do take it, you might have kind of asked for the Caitlyn earlier today. Caitlyn Karma against it is fantastic for winning the bot lane. G2 now needs to be able to punish Reckless in the early game. They already have Jankos on Zac as well, where we know he can be very proactive, especially after level 6. So there is good tools for G2 to try and snowball against what we already know is going to be more focused on scaling with this Tristana pick from Reckless.
And of course, the Sion locked in once again for Bwipo. So tank duty all series long. His engages have paid off. G2, what is the response? It is Sivir. Sivir Karma could be equally as annoying in that bottom lane.
Of course, a lot of pushing on their side. Clearly do not value the Caitlyn pick, as we see from other European teams, but it's perma shoving in the bot lane if it is going to become a support, which is likely at this point. Let's see what Perks can play, and if he gets to counter pick against Caps. And I agree with this Zoe
I was
ban.
thinking about the Zoe ban, and I was like, maybe he just misplayed, you know, maybe Caps is just really good at this champion. And either way, they're showing their respect. Karma's still undecided as to where it's going to go. Rise is still available, and is something that G2 could look for if they want to have that kind of playmaker for G2.
Let's see if Fnatic want to ban GP against Wonder, and once again remove most of his carries. And then want to mention one pick that in the past he's tried to pull out a few times. It's going to be Kled. And it's risky, you know, he can get shot down. It's not great, you know, early laning phase. It kind of hurts you a lot. But it's the kind of pick with Karma and Sivir and Zac that can just force fights so effectively. And if you can snowball with it, you can just shut down the enemy team quickly.
What would need to happen for Fnatic's draft for G2 to confidently lean into that one? I might not get a chance.
I just want to mention it, but it's such a risky choice if they go for it. It's just if they really want Wonder on a carry, it's going to be more engaged. So it's a little bit like the Kled, but not really, because it's just a big long-range ult from Ornn.
Got my hopes up for nothing to Fishio. But we'll have to see the mid lane matchup. Of course, that Karma could still go mid, could go for support in G2. It will allow Perks the option to counterpick whatever Fnatic put down.
So part of me thinks that that Caps will be looking to pick himself up the Talia, and then G2 could answer with something like a Cassio, something that we did see from Niski yesterday. But remember that the Cassio is still available, so even with this Rise locked in for Caps, I feel like that it is a pretty safe answer for G2 if they do want to give Perks a little bit more carry potential.
It's also interesting they banned Thresh on the side of G2, obviously hinting towards putting Karma bot lane and don't want to get shut down by Thresh from Hylissang specifically. This is another champion that can all in against some of these ranged supports, but this is now where it's good that you could have the flex option with Karma, and worst case you could put a mid lane. If you are G2 though, you're looking at Fnatic's late game team fighting once again being very scary.
And I'm remembering back to the quarterfinals last year, gentlemen, where Perks pulled out the Cassiopeia in the Game 5 do-or-die situation against Splice, and he had a phenomenal flanking play in the late game. That star MVP level performance that helped G2 get through that series and advance on to win the summer split. And we'll need to step up once again.
It's going to be extremely important for him to do that as well. He has the winning matchup with the Cassio into the Rise. They have a Zac they can look to play through the middle lane. Things should be set up to allow Perks to succeed. And if he was going to carry any game, this is the one that he has to do.
Exactly. Very important for G2 as well with the bottom lane here. Try and see if you can actually push in Reckless in the early game. Try and see if you can delay him from getting to that late game. And the Ornn on top side from Wonder, adding in even more engage for G2 Esports. So it's kind of set in stone for them. Once you start playing around that Baron where you've been struggling to actually get the correct fight, you now bring so much mobility and engage that hopefully you can actually just run over Fnatic.
That's what G2 are gonna have to do, and they're gonna have to do it a whole lot more. Their backs are against the wall. They are down 0-2 in the series. They are down at least a few thousand fans here in Copenhagen in the Royal Arena. And ladies and gentlemen, as we load into game number 3 of your spring split finals, Copenhagen, I want you to make some noise for G2 Esports and Fnatic.
What do you need to do early to set up this late game teamfight comp?
Sorry, the crowd's really loud.
I'm gonna do it again. What do you need to do early to achieve this late game teamfight comp?
Honestly, in this series, the games have been going pretty late in general. I just don't think that G2 is good enough of a team to close the game. So.
All right, but we'll see. Let's send it over to the Rift. Fnatic versus G2, game 3.
It is indeed. Wonder's already forced to use his flash. Did you see the cheeky howling gale through the Baron pit? Fnatic's level 1s have been unique all split long, and this time around gets an early advantage.
Very true, and also hard to argue against what Dylan Falco, the coach of Fnatic, just said there. G2 Esports have not been able to close out with the advantages they've been getting, but by bringing more engage, now bring more carry potential for Perks with the Cassiopeia, maybe this is it. It needs to be what G2 can actually use to snowball with.
And for G2, this is a very rare instance. They've never been in this situation, but look, the ward spots Fnatic out.
Level 1, level 1, level 1. Here comes G2! Hylissang forced to flash, burning down with the poison. Summoning heal will buy some time. How many summons? 1, 2. Bottom lane uses their flashes for Fnatic.
But now G2, they want to take away this red buff as well. They want to start off with a very early game lead. Reckless gets spots out by the ward. Let's see, more action.
Oh my word, it hasn't even stopped. Perks and Jankos trying to push away Caps. Red buff is the focus right now.
So not only did G2 actually get the summoners here, they managed to deal a lot of damage onto both Caps and Hylissang, giving a lot of advantage over to G2 Esports early on here in the laning phase.
So where will Jankos look to take now? He's going to steal away all of Brox's bottom side jungle. Given the amount of damage that Perks was able to get onto Caps early on as well, he's already taking control over the middle lane. G2 off to a fantastic start, but now I want to see Jankos continue with this proactivity. No flash down in the bottom lane. That is a Janna. And with the Zac, this could be a good angle for G2 to look to try and capitalize on.
Always have to look at how much experience you lose, however, when you're the one invading and staying around. Perks got a little bit late to his lane, but there is a big minion wave hitting Caps' turret.
Level 2 gank top?
Okay, there's no flash on Wonder.
And this time round, it's Wonder that's being ganked, not Buipo. Brox is going to look for some CS. Remember, Wonder forced to use that flash much earlier on. Gets caught up by the CC, 250 HP. The shield keeps him alive for a little while longer. Volcanic Rupture comes out, they knocked out. Flash forward from Buipo.
Oh,
He gets minion blocked. And it trades 1-for-1. Compliment to the creeps.
Good gank there from Brox in the top side, trying to punish the flashless Wonder, but he's able to get the outplay. He's able to trade it back. Buipo uses his flash, and he loses his life. G2 still hold on to the early lead.
And what an exciting start to what could be the deciding game. Here's a replay of that gank.
I would actually love for Buipo to not use his Q here to try and land the knockup. Just let Broxa set up the very easy stun, and then you charge up your first Q, so Wonder never gets close to his turret. But now, because he actually missed the first one, this is the second time he's doing it, and now it's under the turret. And sadly for him, it is G2 minions.
Oh, unfortunate for Buipo.
He does get the cannon, though. Bright side for that.
Oh yeah, but it's not the same patch on live. It's not worth quite as much, Phidias.
Look at bot lane though. This is exactly what G2 wants with this early Karma pick here, with the Sivir, and why they're giving Reckless Tristana. They know it's gonna suck late game, but it's gonna suck no matter what they're playing against on Fnatic's side. So now they just want to try and win the bot lane as hard as possible.
And G2, they have pressure bot, and look at where Zac is on the minimap. Hanging around topside, clearing out his Krugs. They know where the ward is, but we know how so far this series, Jankos likes the gank top, and with a flashless Scion, this could be the next opportunity for G2.
Yeah, of course it's so important for Wonder to step up as well. Look at this, 4 minutes in, by the way. The bottom tower is being obliterated by Hyanin and Wadid. A lot of damage coming down as Hylissang moves forward. He's already used that Ignite to try and push Hyanin back, to try and stop the damage being dealt to this tower.
Hylissang still sitting without flash. If he gets hit by some quick poke from G2's bottom lane, he might go down, but now it is Skarner moving down to the bottom lane. It was noticed by the ward, so they actually have full information on where Brox will be on the map, and you can see G2 instantly step away from the turret, move up mid to see if they can actually find Skarner.
Blue buff still hasn't even been cleared out from Jankos yet. Broxer dropping a bit of deep vision to keep an eye on where Jankos is and what he's up to. With how low that bot tower is, there's always a risk of a potential 4-man roam, forcing to take a very early objective and then start moving the Sivir around the map, which is ideally what they would want as we see another trade in middle.
Ooh, trading back and forth, flash from Caps. Perks is going to win that one out after he landed the damage.
This is what we wanted to see after the last game, where it was Caps controlling the mid lane, Caps shutting down Perks on that Karma. He couldn't have any impact in the game, but on the Cassiopeia here, he's in a matchup where if he's playing well, he can try and shut down Caps, and it's a good start from him, getting that early flash. Hylissang shows himself mid as he's just been roaming.
He roams on every champion, but regardless of what it is, he's like, I can gank this lane.
Now, let's see what Hylissang can actually do to help out. Remember, it's flashless Caps. And I want to go back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier. Wonder, being one of the main important players for G2, he's going to find himself the recipient of another gank. Level 1 invade into his Tribush, and now Brox has repeatedly shown top.
That, of course, is a way for Fnatic to get further ahead. Meanwhile, around mid, Caps without that flash. Jankos hopes to catch him now.
Let's find out. Jankos, stretching strike, finds one. Caps is able to break the range, and this time around, Jankos will not pull him closer.
I knew Broxer was on top side, but they will find each other again. A lot of early action happening here. Also, Wonder getting level 6 is huge, because it's a lot harder now to tower dive Ornn with that giant AoE ulti.
You can also see that Wadid has moved up towards the middle lane. Ideally for Perks, he wants to go back, pick up that tier so we can start stacking up and then reach that point where the Cassio can have so much damage when she's got around 2 to 3 items fully completed.
Now, of course, still the goal for G2 is get down this bot lane turret here. It's so low already. We're just 6 minutes into the game, and it's under 50%.
Look at the CS differential already being built up for G2. In the bottom lane specifically, it all started with that level 1 invade, getting those summoner spells out from Reckless and Hylissang. You also give them the pushing, winning 2 versus 2. Ban away the Braum, give Wadid the Karma, and just allow Hjarnan and Wadid to have constant pressure. Reckless is now suffering in this early game. This is exactly what we wanted to see in the draft.
Yeah, and I'm honestly really surprised about the Janna pick as well from Hylissang. Typically not the kind of champion he favors. It doesn't really help too much here for Reckless in the early game. And late game, champions like Ornn are really good against Janna because of their very long-range giant ulti that he uses to engage. Janna's own defensive ulti to knock people away doesn't really do a lot. Zac can also become untargetable. So it's actually really difficult for Hylissang to execute this champion, and it's not providing enough for them in the early game. As we can see, they're currently losing this bot lane turret very early on.
Now, control has just been placed in the rear brush from Wadid. They know that they want to set up a potential gank or counter gank towards this bottom side of the map. So Wadid preemptively making sure that they have control over the bottom side, and you can see both junglers posturing around.
I mean, look at the damage onto that tower. Hylissang's down to 200 hit points as Hjarnan and Wadid continue to step forward. Boomerang Blade goes out, not going to find the damage, but Jankos jumps in with the Elastic Slingshot. Reckless manages to buffer that rocket jump flawlessly, but with Jankos showing his presence, the tower's going to be the focus. A couple of extra autos here from Hjarnan will take it down for tower first blood very shortly.
You can see mid laners trying to roam down, help out their respective teams, but Perks is the one that got into the river first. Zones Caps away. That means his ulti is not available, and G2 secure the first tower.
Exactly what we talked about in the pick and ban phase. Punishing this Tristana early game with the pushing bottom lane. Smart to early pick that Karma on the side of G2 and then able to move it around. They will get an Ocean Drake as well, adding even more value here in the early game. And they won't even lose too much from it because it's just Reckless sitting bot lane at the moment. Top lane, Wonder respects that he might get killed, but he doesn't know, of course, that Brox and Caps are doing their own blue buff and not actually ganking the Ornn.
I like the respect there from Wonder. Playing back a little defensively. He doesn't know where the enemy jungler is, and he's paranoid about a potential dive. So he's going to back a little bit, take the damage to the top tower, and interestingly, we're not actually seeing the swap from Hjarnan and Wadid towards the top side. They just want to kind of keep some of the pressure onto Reckless and Hylissang.
I mean, this gives them the opportunity to push in the bottom lane even harder and then move towards mid, rotate up with Perks, and then actually swap to top side once Rift Herald spawns. It's still going to be a minute.
That's very true.
Because they're so early in killing a bot lane 30. So they still got plenty of time to further snowball here with their draft.
All right, talking about snowballing, G2, they've got this advantage already, and the first big item sort of for Perks after the TI is picked up the QSS immediately. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's interesting because yesterday, what we saw from Splice was a very early gank in the middle lane when basically Xerxes picked up the Skarner, he ran mid the moment he hit level 6, and he just camped that lane. He snowballed Niski very effectively. And Perk showing, like, I can see how easy it is for you guys to gank me. I do not want that to happen, so I'm going to get this early defensive choice.
Allows him to potentially continue the snowball. having the defensive ability. It's plus 1,300 gold for G2. And of course, the game now has slowed down somewhat from the chaotic start. Rift Herald has spawned, and I'm looking at Hyanin and Wadid's positioning. They were pushing towards mid a moment or two ago, placed a couple of wards just behind the Dragon Pit, and now they're back down bottom.
Yeah, the goal is now to just get the push on bottom side so that when they go to top lane, Reckless needs a bunch of time before he can actually push the lane back and threaten this bot lane turret. So G2 can take a top lane tower and a Rift Herald, and all Fnatic gets in return is eventually a turret. And that obviously, again, further snowballs it for G2 Esports. Right now, Hyanin, great advantage in terms of items in the early game. Reckless is trying to get attack speed so he can push the lane. Good start from G2 Esports bot lane.
And of course, the man on your screen right now, Wonder, the only man that's been really sort of kept down and held back. Let's talk about Wonder and his impact for G2 Esports. All split long, he has been one of the carries. We've looked at the focus that the team has placed around him. His gangplank in the previous game, while it was good, it wasn't enough to carry because the team didn't facilitate it enough. What does he have to do on this Ornn over these next 10 or so minutes, Vinny?
Well, I mean, over the in the early game, his responsibilities aren't going to be that big, but he will be one of the primary engage tools, as we're seeing an engage in the river.
I never get to go story time, as all of a sudden Broxah's going to be the focus. He's going to get burst down, a lot of damage. Flash over the wall from Jankos. He's going to get caught up by the Impale. Now Perkz is looking to shut down Hylissang. Throwing out Twin Fang after Twin Fang, but G2 unable to find the kills. Fnatic escape with their lives.
Yeah, 2 flashes used right there from G2, both Wadid, and then Jankos tried to follow over. A little bit of an awkward moment when he tried to ult onto Broxah, but actually completely missed it. Meanwhile, top lane Caps is roaming.
All right, Caps, Realm Warp's going to come out. The threat alone will mean Wonder instantly flashes away, but it's a trade again where G2 are winning the bottom half of the map and Fnatic continue to win the top half.
Exactly that, quick shot. They had so much control over the top side river. This gave Caps a very easy avenue to just walk up towards where Wonder was and see if he can set up a gank. While he doesn't get the kill, he will force the flash, enabling Fnatic to play towards that top tower as the game progresses. 2
games ago, we talked about how the strengths of the teams could be leaned into, and let's look at this. Rift Herald has been started by Fnatic.
Yeah, that should not be allowed. G2 Esports should control the top side at this point here with how far ahead their AD carry is. And of course, G2 are on the way to stop Broxah from doing this after pushing into the spot lane. As we mentioned much earlier, push in the bot, then make your move on the map so you are far ahead of Fnatic in terms of when you can actually get to an objective. And that's exactly what they're doing. Now Rift Herald will go down eventually. Let's see if Fnatic actually wants to fight for it, because it's currently 5 members of G2 topside. Caps is sitting bot lane.
I feel like it would be very risky given the item differential between the 2 AD carries right now. You can see that Reckless has been struggling. You already talked about how he funneled a lot into attack speed, only sitting on the pickaxe versus the BF sword of Hyanin. I'm sure G2 would be more than happy to take a fight.
And because Broxah was trying to kill a Rift Herald that he was never going to complete before, it actually means he's not on bottom side fast enough to instantly force Wonder away. He's running, he's trying his hardest. Because right now, if you're Fnatic, you give up top side, but you control bottom lane, and they're gonna do it. Broxah did make his way down towards it, and Caps and Hylissang will just eventually take down the turret.
It's good to see Wonder not overstepping his bounds. Multiple times this game, his lane has been under pressure. He is not at risk of being dove. Broxah moved into the pit. We've already seen the Rift Herald being popped in the middle lane. Broxah and Reckless now going to try to clear out this wave as quickly as they can, and a potential fight will ensue. The boop onto the tower goes down as the Impale will pull Wadid backwards. The Ornn engage comes out from the mid lane, and Wonder has already picked himself up a kill. The tower falls as well. The Karma falls in the background of the fight, and things are getting a little messy. Fnatic pushing into the red side of the map. G2 are now on the retreat. The Petrifying Gaze will stun down Hyanin, but not enough to continue. Now Perkz forced to use the cleanse and the flash. Jankos charges the slingshot but does not pull the trigger, and G2 are running, chasing for their lives. Perkz now continues to get choked and pulled down by Caps. Rune Prison waiting for the proc, looking for Caps. Can he get in range? Hyanin's able to waddle to safety, and messy fight, but Fnatic get the kill, G2 get the tower.
Exactly that, quick shot Fnatic. They felt the need to force the fight when G2, they were in a better position to take that tower down, but Fnatic had the ability to flank. They were able to come in from the angle. They tried to get the collapse down onto G2, and they were always in the better position from the start.
Also, the biggest thing was, instead of it being the AD carries fighting each other where G2 are winning, Caps got to join a fight. He was already sitting with Rod of Ages, and Perkz was just sitting on tier and QSS for the fight itself. So the Cassiopeia couldn't really add a lot of value, and Caps, on the other hand, managed to actually return a lot of damage towards G2. This is the initial engage.
But notice the target focus there for Broxah. because he goes on to Woodid, they squish your target, easier to kill, and then Jankos dives in to save him. This means that G2 is very overextended past the tower line, and Caps can get in for a very easy flank. He then deals a lot of damage, but Fnatic don't want to hard commit yet. It's only when G2 split apart that they feel confident enough to continue the chase.
And all of G2 so low at this point. Have to just back away. But obviously Caps still being here, able to flash in and secure another kill. So massive for Fnatic. They get their mid laner in the fight here. I see bot lane, the turret actually did go down from before. And Fnatic trying to even out the gold.
Dead even once again between Fnatic and G2. Considering how strong of a start G2 did have, you would expect them to have a lot more control over the map, but it is Fnatic that are answering back, and a lot of it is coming off the back of Caps and Whip.
I mean, G2 wanted to continue playing on the bottom side a few minutes ago and didn't want to completely snowball towards the top lane. Took some time before they got there, and once eventually moved over, they got the mid lane turret with the Rift Out, but then you lose this fight, and that suddenly slows down your entire game. Perkz now, no flash.
Oh, he gets caught up by Bwipo. There's the engage coming down, and Perkz will get taken out. In the ensuing fight, G2 are still running for their lives. Fnatic have got themselves the positional advantage. It's not done yet. Caps is now under threat as Hjarnan and Woodid are trying to run him down. Gonna get rooted down into place by that focused resolve. Caps continues to get smashed down as Hjarnan flashes forward for the kill. Fnatic, though, get the tower.
Fnatic again with a good play around this mid lane here. Perkz is being set even further behind. He's down 40 CS already. Hjarnan, however, is doing a great job on his own, trying to be the carry G2 needs.
G2 end up trading pretty effectively with Fnatic, but when you think about how much more Fnatic are gaining, G2 constantly struggling to find an edge. Now Bwipo, he does not have flash, 4 members on their way top.
Yeah, and of course he teleported to this tower. G2 have thrown more resources. Wonder and Jankos coming in to help out. Let's Bounce is not available. The tower is very low, but there's not enough minions to work with. Bwipo's going to get chunked down by 4 members of G2 Esports. The kill is secured by Hjarnan. The 4th of the game, it keeps the gold close, and they can continue the pressure on the tower, while Fnatic, they get deep vision in the bottom.
And there's nothing else for Fnatic to try and punish G2 with. They don't have any pushing lanes. You see Rekkles trying to steal away some of the enemy jungle camps, but that was a bit of a misplay there from Bwipo TPing up top, but this is where things really kicked off for Fnatic.
Yeah, this Fnatic team that was so far behind earlier in terms of how quickly they could make plays are now able to actually set up and dive in that mid lane with Bwipo just moving in, and the no flash onto Perkz. Lost it, of course, earlier. Meant that he was an easy target for them, and important to also get the mid lane turret. Luckily for G2, they have this Swedish AD carry in the top lane. It's not called Rekkles, it's called Hjarnan this time around, and he's actually able to get some kills.
I'm curious as to why Caps tried so hard to stop Hjarnan and Woodid from regrouping with their team, because his whole role there was to just stall, prevent them, and instead he ends up giving away his life. But perhaps he didn't need to.
Yeah, and of course, Bwipo, TP'd up top. It's just trading blow for blow as Fnatic takes one back, G2 responds. Still an even game, and G2 are now grouped once again in the mid lane. Wonder does not find Rekkles.
No, one of the big things we said coming into this game was Perkz needs to step up. 0-0 right now, down 50 CS against his lane counterpart. The dude that has won 4 splits back-to-back right now is struggling to have an impact in this series.
And look at the item differential between Rekkles and Hjarnan. While Perkz is struggling, Rekkles is even further behind, still working that Infinity Edge. Hjarnan's got himself that Essence Reaver and Rapid Fire Cannon, and Fnatic will be able to take the top tower with the help of the minions. Realm Warper by some time. Caps will just break the tether and escape with his life.
He was the only player on Fnatic pushing forward. Everyone else was sitting far back in their lanes, but he was so confident in his ability to use the ulti out and then ghost away from G2 that he managed to kill this turret. And this entire early game, which was all about pushing the bottom lane from G2 Esports, it's stopped, it's over. It's going to be all about the fighting now, and that only benefits Fnatic, because they were the ones bleeding turrets, but not anymore.
Oh man, so Fnatic, they're keeping themselves in this game with that lifeline. G2 still marginally behind. We still see those chaotic plays back and forth, and Perkz, you cannot count him out. Vedius, you were talking about the legacy, you were talking about how long he's played. And specifically, I just keep thinking back to those Cassio performances last year. I keep thinking back to Niski's Cassio performance yesterday. That champion is a game changer, especially once he can ground his opponents and prevent them escaping from a potential onslaught from Ornn and Zac.
And while that's true, you have to recognize Caps' performance in this series as well. 2 levels up over Perkz right now, 221 farm. This guy is not going to give Perkz that opportunity. especially as Fnatic look to gain control of the bot side of the map.
And it's Fnatic with the late game scaling who is now dictating the game. They're the ones deciding where the fights are going to happen. They're the ones pushing towards the turrets of G2 Esports because we're seeing Caps and Whippo just consistently shove down these lanes, and G2 are forced to just defend. They wanted to be the proactive team, especially around Yanin, but they're not able to at the moment. They're going to need a big, big fight when Yanin is on 3 items and Reckless can't match it.
I will say that G2 still do have a pretty good late game team fighting composition. You have a really good engage with the Zac and the Ornn. It's just about those setups, which very often we've seen Fnatic really struggle to give G2 those opportunities.
And I 100% agree. I agreed also in game 1, but Reckless Tristana is here.
Yes,
and that's the one where
I see,
saying we're not going to win that late game. They still have a chance, 100%.
From a compositional perspective, you can see it, but from a player perspective, you always have to kind of look right.
But it's just time to prove us wrong if you're G2 Esports. If you want to get this all the way to game 5,
yes,
you have a good draft, you have an 80 carry with 2 items already, 2 kills on his side, and they can look to fourth place with so much engage and mobility.
And the pressure is on G2 because for the first time in 2 years, they're on the verge of being knocked out. Whippo rushes in with the ultimate, decides to pull that one, cancels it ever so slightly. And G2, they're still sitting around the Baron pit. They're going to throw down a little bit more of an engage. Stretching Strike will pull Whippo back, but there's just not enough damage to take him out. Reckless, Hylissang, Caps, they turn around. Jankos is going to flash defensively, and now G2 are routed and running for their lives. Ornn ultimate may turn things around ever so slightly, and the damage is going on to Perkz. He's not taken down. Finally out! Perkz finds the kill! That's a second. It's what did that takes out Whippo. G2 are keeping their series hopes alive, but how much more can they secure?
G2 Esports finally find a successful fight over Fnatic, who have been dominating this series in the 5v5. They have their eyes on the Baron. With Cassio and Sivir, they will take this very quickly, but Broxah is still alive. He's playing in his hometown, and he wants to secure this Baron for Fnatic.
Oh, G2, they pull away from it. Jankos was very low, so just in case a fight will break out, he will die very quickly. And G2, they win the fight. They might even get Hylissang.
Let's take a look. Hylissang just trying to interrupt. Actually pulls the Howling Gale short. And gentlemen, that was a great example of the engage power that G2 still have at their disposal. They found the carry, they killed Caps, and they won the fight.
I actually feel like this was Fnatic being the team to try and force the fight, because they were the ones that had priority over mid. You can see that while Jankos does go in, it is then Fnatic that's in the better position to get the chase down.
And normally here we would see an Ornn ult come down with Jankos flying in, but all the Fnatic members were too far away. This is the important part. Cassiopeia is so good once she gets in with a grounded effect onto Caps, so there's no way for him to get out the moment he gets CC'd. And this is something they can continue to do if any of the carries are stepping forward from Fnatic. Zac and Ornn together, plus the grounded effect from Cassio, should be enough to lock him in place.
Caps now does have TP. Fnatic should be aware that this is going on. And it is going down relatively quickly, but G2 have to be so careful.
Oh, the fight.
All right, Whippo ultimate is going to not get interrupted. G2, they peel away. Baron has been stopped. A couple of ultimates becoming available, but Caps, he didn't pull the trigger. He's still pushing bottom lane.
Yeah, they have to start the Baron again to at least force the TP from Caps here. Let's see what happens. They go for another fight.
Members of Fnatic, they're grouping up. Here comes the call of the Forge God. It is not redirected. There is no knockup. Hylissang is now zoning away the G2 members. And Caps, he's pushing onto the inhibitor turret.
Exactly. Fnatic are just buying time for Caps to do work in the bottom lane. G2, they're not allowed to get themselves the Baron or the TP. Fnatic are taking everything.
Whippo just before here, he managed to knock up Wonder so he couldn't actually connect onto his own ulti and secure a kill for G2. That was a huge play from the Scion, and now we have G2 looking for another fight, but all of Fnatic, they're just running away from them.
Fnatic can taste the title. They can taste MSI representation. And Caps still holds on to that teleport. So does Whippo. And the 2,000 gold lead will be exacerbated by a Mountain Drake. So Fnatic, they can look to push those towers and play around those objectives as we continue to scale in the mid to late game.
And it's important to note that G2, when they started that Baron, their goal was not, we need to rush this down. It's because Fnatic is running this double teleport setup, and you can't really have the Cassio go and match the Ryze because she's only running the cleanse. It becomes a lot harder for her to follow when Ryze is putting that kind of pressure. So if they drag him towards the Baron, then they can equalize it and they can force Fnatic into a situation where it's 4v4 and then one-on-one on the side.
So we're waiting for the next Baron setup. It needs to be a successful one from G2 Esports. They cannot afford to lose a big 5 versus 5 team fight. They're going to fall too far behind in gold. They won't be able to come back. This is going to be it for G2. Set up the lanes, get your vision control around the Baron, and then get ready to take the big fight. Sadly for them, Yonan is not sitting on edge just yet. He's getting very close, however.
Yeah, definitely going to complete that third item. It's Infinity
Might
Edge
get it
Static
now.
Shiv for Reckless. Is he backing? Yes, he is. Death Cap not yet completed for Caps either, so for both parties some power to go up. But 3 items on Hyonin is massive.
It's the perfect time now for him to try and carry a team fight and for G2 to try and force it. Jankos has been looking for some engages, but every time he jumps in, it's Fnatic returning so much damage onto him that he has to escape instantly. We need to see that Ornn ulti from Wonder come in with the engagement from Jankos.
My eyes are entirely on Caps. This guy is level 15 right now. He's working towards his death cap. He was a big part of Fnatic's win in Game 2. That Zoe performance was fantastic. And now on the rise, he is once again outpacing Perks. His impact in these fights is going to be crucial, especially if he makes the same kind of mistake of overstepping and allowing G2 to get the quick shutdown.
Talking about overstepping, Hylissang and Bwipo, they've got about 20 seconds left before those flashes are available. You have to wonder to yourself, is that when Fnatic will feel a little more comfortable maybe setting something up? Rockstar dances with death as he looks Hyonin down the barrel and then backs away, but G2 are so committed to the vision and trying to control this Baron pit.
And they're not able to get enough control. Like, Fnatic still have plenty of wards around it, and Caps still sitting bot lane. Instead of going 5-man to Baron and forcing a TP, they send Wonder back to defend. And Fnatic maintain control around the river.
Reckless insta-buys himself a rapid-fire cannon, so now both AD carries are at 3 items. The big differential between the 2 AD carries is the range advantage that Tristana will have over Sivir, and while she can do a lot more AoE teamfight damage, the single target range advantage that Reckless will have could be a big determinant in these later fights.
And of course, the third item for Caps, being the Death Cap, has just been completed, so significant advantage over Perks right now. Flashes are all available, and you can see Fnatic very bullish. They just push into G2's territory. They're playing this 1-3-1 relatively well. Bwipo's been sitting top lane for what feels like a very long time. And of course, Caps with teleport, he's been pushing down in the bottom lane for at least 6 or 7 minutes.
And if G2 start the Baron, we have to remember the TP takes 4.5 seconds to channel. That's a lot of time for G2 to pop Sivir ulti, Ornn ulti, Zac engages, and try and kill a target before Caps shows up. They have to engage to do it. They just need to start the Baron to force Fnatic to actually come and fight them. And it's happening now. Let's see when the TP arrives, or if it will even channel at all.
All right, Bwipo is taking some damage from Hyonin, and the Baron continues to get chunked down on the back end. It's down to 50%. Caps has not yet pulled the trigger. He's shoving. Keep your eyes on that bottom left. He has the Call of the Forge God. That's going to knock up Hylissang. He's running for his life as the Stretching Strike pulls him backwards. Defensive flashes. Caps has not teleported yet. Hylissang is now down. Fnatic committed for the inhibitor, while G2, they only get a support kill.
Fnatic accept the fact that they're not going to win the fight, so they will just trade it for an inhib instead. Caps is still pushing as 5 members of G2 are hanging around the Baron.
If G2 mess this up, it could be the game, it could be the series, it could be the split. Caps continues to hammer away on the Nexus turret. The Baron is not yet started.
Interrupt.
Yeah, go flash,
It's
go flash!
playing PvE. Hyonin is stuck inside the pit, but Fnatic have not committed.
Baron's gonna
Caps
kill him.
continues to push on the Nexus. Baron is going to take down Hyonin, but Reckless gets the last hit. Fnatic are winning everything.
They got the Baron now. Caps is still pushing here. It's only Wonder who recalled. He's going to force Caps away, but now Fnatic gets everything.
Jankos, is he going back to base? He's not even going to try and steal, giving this away. Oh, okay, he's still hanging around.
Watch the HP, watch the HP, 2,400. Not being burst down yet, Stretching Strike inside the pit. Jankos, no flash available.
Caps is still in the base. He's still trying to do it.
This is insane! Jankos goes inside the pit. The Baron goes down to 1,200. The Smite fight is won! Fnatic gets the last hit. They take
TPing
out
into the base!
Jankos, and they're pushing in for the win. Fnatic are about to do it. They've got minions pushing down as Wonder is trying to stall, trying to use the Call of the Forge God, and Perks, the last remaining member of G2, will hold firm for now.
Trying to defend, but 5 members of Fnatic already pushing for that mid inhib.
Gonna take that one down with Baron empowered minions. Super's in the bottom lane. Fnatic will not make a mistake at the Nexus again. Like game 1, like many years past, And they back away to close this out safely.
Fnatic could not have played that any better. So much patience, so much good decision-making in what was a high-pressure scenario. G2 were around the Baron. They were saying, come, teleport to us, come fight us. And Caps was like, no, I know what the better decision is. I know how I can turn this in our favor, and Fnatic pull it off.
Problem also for G2 is they're too eager there to just pull the trigger. They can stay at that Baron for longer. They can force Fnatic to get closer to the Baron bit before they turn. It was just 1 or 2 members walking in to poke and jump away instantly, which is why Fnatic could continue to kite back, which is why Caps had so much time in that bot lane. G2 did not feel like they could stay in the pit, even though they had the chance with 5 members saying, look, if they stay longer at the Baron, more members will come close, but they try and engage when 3 members of Fnatic are already far away from them, and Whippo is ulting away at the same time. That's why they can only get 1 kill, and why Fnatic actually winning out on this trade.
Now Fnatic grouping up towards the top side. Both bot and mid have been taken down. Super minions are knocking on the doors of G2's base. Hjarnan left to wave clear. There's always the potential for the severe stall, but with the amount of pressure that Fnatic have been putting down, it's a bit of a stretch.
Oh, that's the case. 10,000 gold, Vidius. The Cassiopeia Sivir is definitely a threat, but it just doesn't feel like it's going to happen. It feels like Fnatic are going to do it. They are going to take down G2, the first team to defeat G2 Esports in 2.5 years. Fnatic with Baron and 1 minute left. Pushing into the top inhibitor. Here comes Call of the Forge God, but it is not synchronized. It's not partnered with Jankos, and Caps once again is pushing in the middle lane. He's not with the team because he doesn't need to be. The inhibitor falls in the top lane, and Fnatic are on the precipice of making history. 3 inhibitors down. The last Nexus turret falls, and the final fight. Jankos is impaled, pulled backwards. He's killed, taken down by Reckless. A rocket jump forward as Caps takes down Perks. Wonder follows shortly thereafter, and Fnatic will turn their attention to the Nexus. Fnatic topple G2 and are your spring split champions. Are you kidding me? They are diving for the triple kill. Fnatic rule Europe.
Fnatic have done it.
A final years in the making. The 3-0 does not represent the quality of the games. And Fnatic are your champions.
Took them 2 years to rebuild, figure out what kind of lineup do they need, what kind of coaching staff do they need. Hylissang joins this split, and Youngbuck joins the team as well. So much credit towards him from all the Fnatic members. And now they're sitting here 3-0, dominating G2 in the final.
What a performance from Fnatic. Celebrating being back on top.
Fnatic last year, they made it to the semi-finals. They struggled. They were concerned once again. Would they falter? This time round, they did not. They came here to Denmark and they performed.
And they came here for one thing: Copenhagen and the Royal Arena. Fnatic have come to claim the trophy and declare themselves champions of Europe. Put your hands together for your 2018 Spring Split champions!